Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios of Radha Lane, with a group of hungry, thirsty Vaishnavas. We're sitting here every day. We're trying to follow Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Matkata, Matkata, Tushanticha, Ramanticha. Hare Krishna. He says, Matkata, Matprana. Just please try to make talks of me your life. Tushanticha, Ramanticha. Learn to have a taste for hearing about Krishna and from Krishna. So that's what we're doing every day. And the result will be that Krishna will be happy. And he's happy in your heart. He will reveal not only himself, but all kinds of things. Transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Okay, welcome to all of you out in cyberspace for joining us. Let's read Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayer to the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the summum bonum of knowledge and everything. Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram from Sri Krishna Lila Stava, and it goes like this: Sarvasrasya Dipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprida. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvan Duditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who were supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Marika Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namosute. My only friend, my constant companion, my great master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Sadhutadayin Atini Chochita Kara Hanamun Chagadachin Mam Premna Rit Kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, today we're going to hear the reaction of Hiranyakasipu after Prahlada Maharaj explained to him that the best thing he ever heard from his teachers was Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarana Paraseva. And that's not exactly what Hiranyakasipu had in mind, not what he wanted to hear. And we just finished a wonderful purport in which Srila Prabhupada analyzed all the different 9 processes of devotional service for us, so that we can be more clear about how to do devotional service. So this is 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 25, beginning with text 25. After hearing these words of devotional service from the mouth of his son Prahlada, Hiranyakasipu was extremely angry. His lips trembling, he spoke as follows to Shanda, the son of his guru, Shukracharya. Text 26. O unqualified, most heinous son of a Brahmana, you have disobeyed my order and taken shelter of the party of my enemies. You have taught this poor boy about devotional service. What is this nonsense? Purport. In this verse, the word asaram, meaning having no substance, is significant. For a demon, there is no substance in the process of devotional service. But to a devotee, devotional service is the only essential factor in life. Since Hiranyakasipu did not like devotional service, the essence of life, he chastised Prahlada Maharaja's teachers with harsh words. Text 27. In due course of time, various types of diseases are manifest in those who are sinful. Similarly, in this world there are many deceptive friends in false garbs. But eventually, because of their false behavior, their actual enmity becomes manifest. Purport. Being anxious about the education of his boy Prahlada, Hiranyakasipu was very much dissatisfied. When Prahlada began teaching about devotional service, Hiranyakasipu immediately regarded the teachers as his enemies in the garb of friends. In this verse, the words roga patikinam eva refer to disease, which is the most sinful and miserable of the conditions of material life. Janma mrityu jara vyadi. Disease is the symptom of the body of a sinful person. The Smriti Shastras say, Brahmaha chaya rogi syat surapak shabadandikagaha sarva swarna hari tukuna ki dushjarma gurutal bagaha. Murderers of brahmanas are later afflicted by tuberculosis. Drunkards become toothless. Those who have stolen gold are afflicted by diseased nails. And sinful men who have sexual connections with the wife of a superior are afflicted with leprosy and similar skin diseases. Text 28. The son of Shukracharya, Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master, said, O enemy of King Indra, O king, whatever your son Prahlada has said was not taught to him by me or anyone else. His spontaneous devotional service has naturally developed in him. Therefore, please give up your anger and do not unnecessarily accuse us. It is not good to insult a Brahmana in this way. Text 29. Sri Narada Muni continued, when Hiranyakashipu received this reply from the teacher, he again addressed his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu said, you rascal, most fallen of our enemy. Hiranyakashipu said, you rascal, most fallen of our family. If you have not received this education from your teachers, where have you gotten it? Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that devotional service is actually Bhadra Sati, not Abhadra Sati. In other words, knowledge of devotional service can be neither inauspicious nor contrary to etiquette. To learn devotional service is the duty of everyone. Vaisheshik Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for tuning in to this lowly soul trying to please you and Srila Prabhupada. By the way, answer the text I sent you by the phone today. I have to know whether to read the websites on the outro texts, letter for letter, or just the whole thing. Send me a text. Thank you very much. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that devotional service is actually Bhadra Sati, not Abhadra Asati. In other words, knowledge of devotional service can be neither inauspicious nor contrary to etiquette. To learn devotional service is the duty of everyone. Therefore, the spontaneous education of Prahlada Maharaj is supported as auspicious and perfect. Text 30. Prahlada Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to... This is a very important verse. Sri Praduvacha Matir na Krishne Paratak Svatova Mito Bipadyeta Griha Bratanam Andanta Gobir Vishitam Timishram Punak Punas Charvata Charvinanam. Prahlada Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, neither by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Purport. In this verse, the words Matir na Krishne refer to devotional service rendered to Krishna. So-called politicians, erudite scholars, and philosophers who read Bhagavad Gita try to twist some meaning from it to suit their material purposes. But their misunderstandings of Krishna will not yield them any profit, because such politicians, philosophers, and scholars are interested in using Bhagavad Gita as a vehicle for adjusting things materially. For them, constant thought of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is impossible. Matir na Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1855, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Only through devotional service can one understand Krishna as he is. The so-called politicians and scholars think of Krishna as fictitious. The politician says that his Krishna is different from the Krishna depicted in Bhagavad Gita. Even though he accepts Krishna and Rama as the supreme, he thinks of Rama and Krishna as impersonal because he has no idea of service to Krishna. Thus his only business is punak, punash, charvati charvananam, chewing the chewed again and again. The aim of such politicians and academic scholars is to enjoy this material world with their bodily senses. Therefore it is clearly stated here that those who are grihavrata, those whose only aim is to live comfortably with the body in the material world, cannot understand Krishna. The two expressions, grihavrata and charvita charvananam, indicate that a materialistic person tries to enjoy sense gratification in different bodily forms, life after life, but is still unsatisfied. In the name of personalism, thisism, thatism, or thatism, such persons always remain attached to the materialistic way of life. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:44, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya parita chetasam vyabhasayatmika buddhi samadho navadiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and were bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Those who are attached to material enjoyment cannot be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. They cannot understand Bhagavan, Krishna, or his instruction, Bhagavad Gita. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram. Their path actually leads toward hellish life. As confirmed by Rishabdev, Mahat Sevam Dvaram Ahur Vimukte. One must try to understand Krishna by serving a devotee. The word Mahat refers to a devotee. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso yatva bhutadamavyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Bhagavad Gita 9:13. A Mahatma is one who is constantly engaged in devotional service, 24 hours a day. As explained in the following verses, unless one adheres to such a great personality, one cannot understand Krishna. Hiranyakasipu wanted to know where Prahlada had gotten this Krishna consciousness. Who had taught him? Prahlada sarcastically replied, "My dear father, persons like you never understand Krishna." One can understand Krishna only by serving a Mahat, a great soul. Those who try to adjust material conditions are said to be chewing the chewed. No one has been able to adjust material conditions, but life after life, generation after generation, people try and repeatedly fail. Unless one is properly trained by a Mahat, a Mahatma, or unalloyed devotee of the Lord, there is no possibility of one's understanding Krishna and his devotional service. Text 31. Nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnum durashaya ye bahir artamaninaha anda yatandaya upaniyamanas tepishatantriam urudam nibaddaha. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home, back to Godhead, and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men, guided by another blind man, miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men, led by another materially attached man, are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Purport: Since there must always be a difference of opinion between demons and devotees, Hiranyakasipu, when criticized by his son Prahlada Maharaj, should not have been surprised that Prahlada Maharaj differed from his way of life. Nonetheless, Hiranyakasipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher or spiritual master, who had been born in the Brahmana family of the great Acharya, Shukracharya. The word Shukra means semen, and Acharya refers to a teacher or guru. Hereditary gurus or spiritual masters have been accepted everywhere since time immemorial, but Prahlada Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. An actual guru is Shrotriya, one who was heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara, the disciplic succession. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj did not recognize a seminal spiritual master. Such spiritual masters are not at all interested in Vishnu. Indeed, they are hopeful of material success. Bahir artamanina. The word bahi means external, arta means interest, and manina means taking very seriously. Generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The knowledge of the materialists is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world, which is in the dark position of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Unless one is a devotee of the Lord, one cannot understand the existence of the spiritual world. Gurus, teachers, who are simply interested in this material world are described in this verse as andha, blind. Such blind men may lead other blind followers without true knowledge of material conditions, but they are not accepted by devotees like Prahlada Maharaj. Such blind teachers, being interested in the external material world, are always bound by the strong ropes of material nature. Text 32. Unless they smear, this is another important, these are the favorite verses of Prabhupada. Naisham matista vurukramangrim sprishatyanartha pagamo yadartaha mahiyasam padarajopishekam nishkinchananam nanavitina yavat. Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined toward materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for its uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination. Purport. Becoming Krishna conscious brings about anartha apagama, the disappearance of all anarthas, the miserable conditions we have unnecessarily accepted. The material body is the basic principle of these unwanted, miserable conditions. The entire Vedic civilization is meant to relieve one from these unwanted miseries. But persons bound by the laws of nature do not know the destination of life. As described in the previous verse, Ishatantyam urudam nibadaha. They are conditioned by the 3 strong modes of material nature. The education that keeps the conditioned soul bound life after life is called materialistic education. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained that materialistic education expands the influence of Maya. Such an education induces the conditioned soul to be increasingly attracted to materialistic life and to stray further and further away from liberation from unwanted miseries. One may ask, why highly educated persons do not take to Krishna consciousness? The reason is explained in this verse. Unless one takes shelter of a bona fide, fully Krishna conscious spiritual master, there is no chance of understanding Krishna. The educators, scholars, and big political leaders worshipped by millions of people cannot understand the goal of life and take to Krishna consciousness, for they have not accepted a bona fide spiritual master and the Vedas. Therefore, in the Mundaka Upanishad 3.2.3, it is said, Nayam Atma Prapajanena Labhyo Namedaya Na Bahuna Shutena. One cannot become self-realized simply by having an academic education, by presenting lectures in an erudite way, Prabhajanena Labhya, or by being an intelligent scientist who discovers many wonderful things. One cannot understand Krishna unless one is graced by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only one who is surrendered to a pure devotee of Krishna and taken the dust of his lotus feet can understand Krishna. First, one must understand how to get out of the clutches of Maya. The only means is to become Krishna conscious. And to become Krishna conscious very easily, one must take shelter of a realized soul, a Mahat or Mahatma, whose only interest is to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso Gyatva bhutadamavyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Therefore, to end the unwanted miseries of life, one must become a devotee. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. One who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna consistently manifests all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods. Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Yasya devi para bhaktir yata devi tata garo tasyaite katata yarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6:23. Yam evaisha rinute tena labhyas tasyaisha atma rivinute tanum swam. The Lord is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. Mundaka Upanishad 3:2-3. These are Vedic injunctions. One must take shelter of a self-realized spiritual master, not a materially educated scholar or politician. One must take shelter of a niskinchana, a person engaged in devotional service and free from material contamination. That is the way to return home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 33. After Prahlada Maharaj had spoken in this way and become silent, Hiranyakasipu, blinded by anger, threw him off his lap and onto the ground. Text 34. Indignant and angry, his reddish eyes like molten copper, Hiranyakasipu said to his servants, "O demons, take this boy away from me. He deserves to be killed. Kill him as soon as possible." Text 35. This boy Prahlada is the killer of my brother, for he has given up his family to engage in the devotional service of the enemy, Lord Vishnu, like a menial servant. Purport. Hiranyakasipu considered his son, Prahlada Maharaj, to be the killer of his brother because Prahlada Maharaj was engaged in the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. In other words, Prahlada Maharaj would be elevated to Sarupya liberation. And in that sense, he resembled Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Prahlada was to be killed by Hiranyakasipu. Devotees, Vaishnavas, attain the liberations of Sarupya, Salokya, Sarshti, and Samipya when the Mayavadis are supposed to attain the liberation known as Sayujya. Sayujya Mukti, however, is not very secure, whereas Sarupya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Sarshti Mukti, and Samipya Mukti are most certain. Although the servants of Lord Vishnu, Narayana, in the Vaikuntha planets are equally situated with the Lord, the devotees there know very well that the Lord is the master, whereas they are servants. Text 36. Although Prahlada is only 5 years old, even at this young age, he has given up his affectionate relationship with his father and mother. Therefore, he is certainly untrustworthy. Indeed, it is not at all believable that he will behave well toward Vishnu. Text 37. Although a medicinal herb being born in the forests does not belong to the same category as a man, if beneficial, it is kept very carefully. Similarly, if someone outside one's family is favorable, he should be given protection, like a son. On the other hand, if a limb of one's body is poisoned by disease, it must be amputated so that the rest of the body may live happily. Similarly, even one's own son, if unfavorable, must be rejected, though born of one's own body. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed all devotees of the Lord to be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than trees. Otherwise, there will always be disturbances to their execution of devotional service. Here is a vivid example of how a devotee is disturbed by a non-devotee, even though the non-devotee is an affectionate father. The material world is such that a non-devotee father becomes an enemy of a devotee son. Having determined to kill even his son, Hiranyakasipu gave the example of amputating a part of one's body that has become septic and therefore injurious to the rest of the body. The same example, of course, may be applied to non-devotees. Chanika Pandit advises, Tyaja durjana sangsargam bhajasadu samagamam. Devotees actually serious about advancing in spiritual life should give up the company of non-devotees and always keep company with devotees. To be too attached to material existence is ignorance, because material existence is temporary and miserable. Therefore, devotees who are determined to perform tapasya, penances and austerities, to realize the self, and who are determined to become advanced in spiritual consciousness, must give up the company of atheistic non-devotees. Prahlada Maharaj maintained an attitude of non-cooperation with the philosophy of his father, Hiranyakasipu, yet he was tolerant and humble. Hiranyakasipu, however, being a non-devotee, was so polluted that he was even prepared to kill his own son. He justified this by putting forward the logic of amputation. 38. Just as uncontrolled senses are the enemies of all yogis engaged in advancing in spiritual life, this Prahlada, who appears to be a friend, is an enemy because I cannot control him. Therefore, this enemy, whether eating, sleeping, sitting, or sleeping, must be killed by all means. Purport. Hiranyakasipu planned a campaign to kill Prahlada Maharaj. He would kill his son by administering poison to him while he was eating, by making him sit in boiling oil, or by throwing him under the feet of an elephant while he was lying down. Thus Hiranyakasipu decided to kill his innocent child, who was only 5 years old, simply because the boy had become a devotee of the Lord. This is the attitude of non-devotees toward devotees. Text 39, 40. The demons, Rakshasas, the servants of Hiranyakasipu, thus began striking the tender parts of Prahlada Maharaja's body with their tridents. The demons all had fearful faces, sharp teeth, and reddish coppery beards and hair, and they appeared extremely threatening, making a tumultuous sound, shouting, "Chop him up, pierce him." They began striking Prahlada Maharaj, who sat silently, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 41. Even though a person who has no assets in pious activities performs some good deed, it will have no result. Thus the weapons of the demons had no tangible effects upon Prahlada Maharaj, because he was a devotee undisturbed by material conditions and fully engaged in meditating upon and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable, who cannot be realized by the material senses, and who is the soul of the entire universe. Purport. Prahlada Maharaj was constantly and fully engaged in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is said, Govinda Paridambita. Prahlada Maharaj engaged himself always in meditation, and thus he was protected by Govinda, just as a small child on the lap of his father or mother is fully protected. A devotee in all conditions is protected by the Supreme Lord. Does this mean that when Prahlada Maharaj was attacked by the demons, the Rakshasas, Govinda was also attacked by the demons? This is not possible. There have been many attempts by the demons to hurt or kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he cannot be injured by any material means because he is always in transcendence. Therefore, the words Pare Brahmani is used here. The demons, the Rakshasas, can neither see nor touch the Supreme Lord, though they may superficially think that they are striking the Lord's transcendental body with their material weapons. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in this verse as Anirdeshye. We cannot understand him to be in a particular place, for he is all-pervasive. Moreover, he is Akilatma, the active principle of everything, even material weapons. Those who cannot understand the position of the Lord are unfortunate. They may think that they can kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee, but all their attempts will be futile. The Lord knows how to deal with them. Text 42. My dear King Yudhishthir, when all the attempts of the demons to kill Prahlada Maharaj were futile, the king of the demons, Hiranyakasipu, being most fearful, began contriving other means to kill him. 43 and 44. Hiranyakasipu could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him among huge, fearful snakes, employing destructive spells, hurling him from the top of a hill, conjuring up illusory tricks, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water, or throwing heavy stones to crush him. When Hiranyakasipu found that he could not in any way harm Prahlada, who was completely sinless, he was in great anxiety about what to do next. 45. Hiranyakasipu thought, I have used many ill names in chastising this boy Prahlada, and have devised many means of killing him. But despite all my endeavors, he could not be killed. Indeed, he saved himself by his own powers, without being affected in the least by these treacherous and abominable actions. 46. Although he is very near to me and is merely a child, he is situated in complete fearlessness. He resembles a dog's curved tail, which can never be straightened, because he never forgets my misbehavior and his connection with his master, Lord Vishnu. Purport. The word shuna means of a dog, and shepa means tail. The example is ordinary. However one may try to straighten a dog's tail, it is never straight, but always curved. Shuna Shepa is also the name of the second son of Ajigartha. He was sold to Harishchandra, but he later took shelter of Vishwamitra, Harishchandra's enemy, and never left his side. Text 47. I can see that this boy's strength is unlimited, for he has not feared any of my punishments. He appears immortal. Therefore, because of my enmity toward him, I shall die. Or maybe this will not take place. Text 48. Thinking in this way, the king of the Daityas, morose and bereft of bodily luster, remained silent with his face downward. Then Shanda and Amarka, the two sons of Shukracharya, spoke to him in secret. 49. O Lord, we know that when you simply move your eyebrows, all the commanders of the various planets are most afraid. Without the help of any assistant, you have conquered all the three worlds. Therefore, we do not find any reason for you to be morose and full of anxiety. As for Prahlad, he is nothing but a child and cannot be a cause of anxiety. After all, his bad or good qualities have no value. Text 50. Until the return of our spiritual master, Shukracharya, arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna so that he will not flee in fear. In any case, by the time he is somewhat grown up and has assimilated our instructions or served our spiritual master, he will change in his intelligence. Thus, there need be no cause for anxiety. Text 51. After hearing these instructions of Shanda and Amarka, the sons of his spiritual master, Hiranyakasipu, agreed and requested them to instruct Prahlad in that system of occupational duty which is followed by royal householder families. Purport. Hiranyakasipu wanted Prahlad Maharaj to be trained as a diplomatic king in ruling the kingdom, the country, or the world, but not to be advised about renunciation or the renounced order of life. The word dharma here does not refer to some religious faith. As clearly stated, dharmo yasyo padeshtavyo ragyam yo grihamedinam. There are two kinds of royal families. One whose members are simply attached to household life, and the other consisting of rajarshis, kings who govern with ruling power but are as good as great saints. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to become a rajarshi, whereas Hiranyakasipu wanted him to become a king attached to sense enjoyment, griha medinam. Therefore, in the Aryan system, there is varnashram dharma, by which everyone should be educated according to his position in society's division of varna, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, and shudra, and ashrama, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. A devotee purified by devotional service is always in the transcendental position above the mundane qualities. Thus the difference between Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakasipu was that Hiranyakasipu wanted to keep Prahlad in mundane attachment, whereas Prahlad was above the modes of material nature. As long as one is under the control of material nature, his occupational duty is different from that of a person not under such control. One's real dharma, or occupational duty, is described in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. As described to his order carriers by Dharmaraj or Yamaraj, a living being is a spiritual identity, and therefore his occupational duty is also spiritual. The real Dharma is that which is advised in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. One must give up one's material occupational duties, just as one must give up his material body. Whatever one's occupational duty, even according to the varnashram system, one must give it up and engage in one's spiritual function. One's real dharma, or occupational duty, is explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivera Sarupa Hoya Krishnera Nityadas. Every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. That is one's real occupational duty. Text 52. Thereafter, Shanda and Amarka systematically and unceasingly taught Prahlada Maharaj, who was very submissive and humble about mundane religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Purport. There are 4 processes for human society: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, and they culminate in liberation. Human society must follow a process of religion to advance, and on the basis of religion, one should try to develop his economic condition so that he can fulfill his needs for sense gratification according to the religious rules and regulations. Then liberation from material bondage will be easier to attain. That is the Vedic process. When one is above the stages of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, one becomes a devotee. He is then on the platform from which he is guaranteed not to fall again to material existence. Yad gatva na nivartante. As advised in Bhagavad Gita, if one transcends these 4 processes and is actually liberated, one engages in devotional service. Then he is guaranteed not to fall to material existence again. Text 53. The teachers Shanda and Amarka instructed Prahlada Maharaj in the 3 kinds of material advancement called religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Prahlada, however, being situated above such instructions, did not like them, for such instructions are based on the duality of worldly affairs, which involve one in a materialistic way of life marked by birth, death, old age, and disease. Purport. The entire world is interested in the materialistic way of life. Indeed, practically 99.9% of the people in the 3 worlds are uninterested in liberation or spiritual education. Only the devotees of the Lord, headed by such great personalities as Prahlada Maharaj and Narada Muni, are interested in the real education of spiritual life. One cannot understand the principles of religion while staying on the material platform. Therefore, one must follow these great personalities, as stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 6.3.20. Swayambhur Nada-dakshambhu Kumara Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balir Bhaya Sakir Bhayam. One must follow in the footsteps of such great personalities as Lord Brahma, Narada, Lord Shiva, Kapila, Manu, the Kumaras, Prahlada Maharaj, Bhishma, Janaka, Bali Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, and Yamaraj. Those interested in spiritual life should follow Prahlada Maharaj in rejecting the education of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. One should be interested in spiritual education. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world, following in the footsteps of Prahlada Maharaj, who did not like any of the materialistic education he received from his teachers. Text 54. When the teachers went home to attend to their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlada Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. Purport. In tiffin hours, the hours when the teachers were absent from the classroom, the students called Prahlada Maharaj, wanting to play with him, as will be seen by the following verses. However, Prahlada Maharaj was not very much interested in playing. Instead, he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, as indicated in this verse by the word Krita Chanai, at the opportune moment when it was possible to preach about Krishna consciousness, Prahlada Maharaj used the time as follows. Text 55. Prahlada Maharaj, who was truly the Supreme Learned Person, then addressed his class friends in very sweet language. Smiling, he began to teach them about the uselessness of materialistic way of life. Being very kind to them, he instructed them as follows. Purport. Prahlada Maharaj's smiling is very significant. The other students were very much advanced in enjoying materialistic life through religion, economic development, and sense gratification. But Prahlada Maharaj laughed at them, knowing that this was not actual happiness. For real happiness is advancement in Krishna consciousness. The duty of those who follow in the footsteps of Prahlada Maharaj is to teach the entire world how to be Krishna conscious and thus be really happy. Materialistic persons take to so-called religion to get some blessing so that they can improve their economic position and enjoy the material world through sense gratification. But devotees like Prahlada Maharaj laugh at how foolish they are to be busy in a temporary life without knowledge of the soul's transmigration from one body to another. Materialistic persons are engaged in striving for temporary benefits, whereas persons advanced in the materialistic way, advanced in spiritual knowledge, such as Prahlada Maharaj, are not interested in the materialistic way of life. Instead, they want to be elevated to an eternal life of knowledge and bliss. Therefore, as Krishna is always compassionate to the fallen souls, his servants, the devotees of Lord Krishna, are also interested in educating the entire populace in Krishna consciousness. The mistake of materialistic life is understood by devotees, and therefore they smile upon it, considering it insignificant. Out of compassion, however, such devotees preach the gospel of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. Text 56 and 57. My dear King Yudhishthir, all the children were very much affectionate and respectful to Prahlada Maharaj. Because of their tender age, they were not so polluted by the instructions and actions of their teachers, who were attached to condemned duality and bodily comfort. Thus the boys surrounded Prahlada Maharaj, giving up their playthings, and sat down to hear him, their hearts and eyes being fixed upon him. They looked at him with great earnestness. Prahlada Maharaj, although born in a demon family, was an exalted devotee, and he desired their welfare. Thus he began instructing them about the futility of materialistic life. Purport. The words Bala Adushitadiya indicate that the children, being of a tender age, were not as polluted by materialistic life as their fathers. Prahlada Maharaj, therefore, taking advantage of the innocence of his class friends, began teaching them about the importance of spiritual life and the insignificance of materialistic life. Although the teachers, Shanda and Amarka, were instructing all the boys in the materialistic life of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, the boys were not much polluted. Therefore, with great attention, they wanted to hear from Prahlada Maharaj about Krishna consciousness. In our Krishna consciousness movement, the Gurukula plays an extremely important part in our activities, because right from childhood, the boys at the Gurukula are instructed about Krishna consciousness. Thus, they become steady within the cores of their hearts, and there is very little possibility that they will be conquered by the modes of material nature when they are older. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports, the 7th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Prahlada Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakasipu. Okay. Last word. Tamal gets the last word. Boy. How wonderful. Okay, open mic. Go ahead. There's lots of things here in this reading. Yes, Tamal. Whoa, you got your hand up quick before anybody else. Everyone else is asleep. Go ahead.
How did Hiranyakasipu get his guru?
He paid him. See the difference between a Vaishnava guru and a Kula guru or a seminal guru. One who is a guru because he is born in a certain family, or he is the guru of a certain family, is that the seminal guru is maintained by the disciples. Now the classic example of this was Bali Maharaj. Because Bali Maharaj was the grandson of Prahlada Maharaj. Did you know that? Yes. Prahlada Maharaj had a son later on in his life. What was his name? Virochana. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Virochana. And his son was Bali Maharaj. And because Hiranyakasipu had a huge position in the world of demons, he was the king of all the demons, these two devotees, or these two demons, inherited that situation. And the spiritual master of the demons is Shukracharya. So when Bali Maharaj was tested by Vamanadev, who came to him right in the middle of a big sacrifice to ask charity from Bali, because even the demons in those days knew about Vedic principles and they were very charitable. They would never refuse charity to a Brahmana. So Bali Maharaj says, of course, what do you want? He says, I just want enough land that I can will cover my 3 steps. I'm just a little Brahmana, I just need a little bit, 3 steps. And Bali Maharaj said, and before he said yes, Shukracharya came himself and he said, no, you can't do that because this is Vishnu, and if you do that, he's going to take everything. So why should he be upset if everything was going to be taken away from Bali Maharaj? Because he was going to lose his support. He was going to lose his means of living. That's the difference. The Vaishnava gets his guru or her guru by surrender in devotional service, by searching out for the truth. And then Krishna sends the spiritual master. So it's a transcendental relationship. It's a spiritual relationship. There's no, profit motive. But Shukracharya was powerful by dint of austerities and sacrifices and, in knowledge of the Vedas. He was powerful. So therefore, Hiranyakasipu took him as spiritual master to get power. Got it? Hare Krishna. Thank you for that nice question. We really appreciate it, your question. And your attentive hearing also. It reminds me of Prahlada Maharaj, and all of us were reminded of Prahlada Maharaj. When we watch you sitting there, submissively hearing and asking great questions. It's fantastic. Please keep up the good work. Deliver your mother and father. Yeah, it's nice. And don't think you can't do it. You can do it. And all glory to your mother for bringing you here. Hare Krishna. What else? Yes, our dear mom, Kalpataru.
I think it was, I think it was verse 34, purport. Srila Prabhupada said that, he was comparing liberation of Mayavadi to other four. What is that one? Sayujya?
What is Sayujya?
Yeah.
Sayujya is the liberation of merging into the effulgence of Krishna, or, in a very extreme case, wanting to merge into the body of Krishna altogether, directly into the body. If they merge into the body, they lose their individual existence entirely. If they merge into the Brahma Jyoti, they maintain their individuality, but they have no sense of personal existence, and they don't have any action. They don't have senses to do any action, but they have a sense of being freed from material suffering, and therefore they taste a kind of relief. It's a kind of pleasure, but it's the pleasure of relief, not positive pleasure, not ananda. They don't get ananda. The soul is comprised, just like our bodies are comprised of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, salt, thoughts, ego, or subtle body. So the spiritual body is composed of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So when we go to the Sayujya realization, we realize the Sat feature of our existence, the eternal feature of our existence, but we don't get knowledge or Ananda. So that's the Sayujya liberation, and it's mistakenly thought by the impersonalists to be the ultimate goal. The Mayavadis are another, species. They're not just innocently going through the process and coming to, Brahman realization, and then making the mistake of going to Brahman realization due to insufficient knowledge. They actually think that Krishna is Maya. They think that anything material is Maya. They think devotional service is Maya, is material. So if they don't get Sayujya liberation, they go to hellish conditions, lower species of life, demoniac birth. That's the difference between the Mayavadi and the Brahmavadi. I was just listening today to Gopi Pranadana Prabhu. He's reading the section of the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, and in which the 4 Kumaras come to the gateway of Vaikuntha and get cursed. And they were actually Brahman realized souls, but they hadn't met Vishnu face to face. So because they were highly advanced in spiritual life, they could approach Vaikuntha, and when they saw Lord Vishnu and smelled the fragrance of the tulsi leaves and flowers offered at his feet, then they immediately became pure devotees, and they came to the highest stage of spiritual realization. The personality of God accepted him. So that's the position of a Brahmavadi. The Brahmavadi, when he becomes in contact with, a pure Vaishnava, then he becomes pure Vaishnava. But the Mayavadi, they can't hear that because they don't accept that God has a form, and therefore they're attached to impersonalism, and it's actually demoniac, Mayavad philosophy. Lord Chaitanya said, if anybody who hears Mayavad philosophy, and like I said again, it's different than Brahmavad, different than the innocent person who is going forward in spiritual processes and is at the stage of Brahmavad before they come to Paramatma or Bhagavan realization. But the Mayavad, if you hear the philosophy of Mayavad, which teaches you, yes, there is God, but God is not a person, then you become doomed. Your spiritual life is doomed, at least for this life. Unless you come in contact with the pure devotee by fate and by good fortune, submit. I mean, many of us who were raised in this side of the world and even in India now, Mayavad is everywhere. We've heard too much Mayavad, and then maybe that's one reason why. Not maybe, definitely, it's why it's difficult to us to just surrender completely, and there's all kinds of different resistances in us, and therefore we don't advance as fast as we could if we didn't have that past, contact, that past association. But by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we get forgiven for that. If we just take Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and chant Hare Krishna on his order, and then we become protected. Therefore we chant Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda, before we chant Hare Krishna. Yes, Prana, please give us, enlighten us further.
I had a question or follow-up. Maharaja, you said about that Sayuja means both merging into the Brahma Jyoti and also into Krishna's personal body. And I was thinking how is it that a jiva can lose his existence by merging into Krishna's body? I was thinking that, I recollect reading in Prabhupada's books I think it's Shiva Goswami who says about how there's no actual merging because the green parrot, he gives us a green parrot flies into a green tree.
That's Brahma Jyoti. That's the Brahma Jyoti. There is a form of desire that one wants to go into the body of Krishna. You stay there. You still have your, but it's not manifest at all. That is the most fallen condition you can have. That's the most dangerous desire you can have. It's spiritual suicide.
Thank you.
But it's rare, very rare that anyone would want that, and it's even rarer that Krishna would fulfill it. Huh?
Scary.
Very scary. It should scare us. Yes.
It is said that Shishupal, he was very abusive to Krishna because he was telling Krishna's name so many times. He got purified, and finally he got this. Because of that purification, he got this liberation of Sayuja Mukti, right? So how to...
Well, it wasn't. It was apparently Sayuja Mukti, but it wasn't actually Sayuja Mukti. Apparently, it looked like Sayuja Mukti, but he actually finished the curse and then he went back to Vaikuntha. He didn't get Sayuja Mukti. It just appeared like it. It's described that in Shastra because everyone saw his soul come out and merge into the, effulgence of Krishna. So it looked like that, but it wasn't actually like that. That's the conclusion of our acharyas.
So the Brahmavadis, so the 4 Kumaras were Brahmavadis, they were living in the spiritual Brahman effulgence.
No, they were Brahman realized, even though they had, material bodies.
So what is the difference between Brahman realized and Brahmavadis?
No difference. Brahman realized means Brahmavadi.
So you said these Brahmavadis live in spiritual effulgence where they don't have the senses, but they only have the sense of that a satisfaction of being relieved from the suffering.
If the four Kumaras had not come in contact with Vishnu the way they did, they would have gone to the Brahmajyoti.
Oh, okay.
But because they came in contact with Vishnu and saw him face to face, then they were immediately purified. Like Shukadeva Goswami, he was Brahmavadi. He was perfect impersonalist in the womb of his mother. And therefore he didn't want to come out because he said, I'm satisfied here, and if I go out I may get entrapped by Maya, so I'll stay here. Wasn't very nice to his mother, but anyway, that's what he did. And then Krishna came. After Vyasadeva tried to convince him, then Krishna came and personally promised him that he could come out and he wouldn't get attracted by Maya. And then he came out. But he was still impersonally realized. But then, here's what happened. This is very interesting. I heard this from Gopi Pranadanda Prabhu, who read it in one of the Acharya's commentaries. That what happened was, in the Bhagavatam it talks about how Shukadeva just ran away. As soon as he came out, he was 16 years old already, and he had fully developed body, and he just ran away. And his father was chasing after him. Don't go, don't go. And then it said that the trees were also echoing the, But what happened was, and he hadn't heard the whole Bhagavatam at that time. He just heard some verses from the Bhagavatam. But then, Shukadeva Goswami is so smart. He sent other disciples and stationed them. And when Shukadeva was passing by, they started, chanting verses from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam about Krishna's pastimes. And he heard this, and he became attracted. And then he went back, and he heard the whole Bhagavatam from his father. And then he became, Shukadeva Goswami, a completely realized soul.
So these Brahmavadis live in the light and the Shunyavadis live in the dark. Both of them would get an opportunity to become a devotee, but the Mayavadis, it's like very hard until a pure devotee gives them some.
Very difficult. Very difficult. And difficult even for the Brahmavadis and Brahmavadis and Shunyavadis. Difficult. They have to unhear it. They have to unlearn it. There's different places where, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for instance, he and Vishwanath also, Chakravarti Thakur, they describe that unless one comes in front of an assembly of devotees and renounces that in public, then they can become purified. But they have to also positively take shelter of a liberated soul or a pure devotee. The potency of liberated souls is so great. That's why I've chosen in my life to just sit here and read the words of a liberated soul. Because it's so sure, and just trying to be the peon. Deliver the mail. It's so great. Aside from philosophy, aside from devotion and all these things that we describe in our attraction to Prabhupada, whenever I meet a person who can't respond to those kinds of things, I just explain what Prabhupada did practically. And sometimes it works, and they just say, oh yeah, this can't be an ordinary person, and then they start to hear submissively. That's what it means by this verse that we just heard. Unless one smears his body with the dust of the feet of a pure devotee, cannot take to pure devotional service. When I went to Vrindavan, just before Prabhupada left, I went there at about a month before he left, and I can't remember exactly how long, but it was, some days before he left, around a month. And when I came into his room, it was dark, and there were only two other devotees in the room. You know, Bhakti Chur Maharaj, he was at the head of the bed, and Prabhupada was in the bed by that time. He didn't get out of the bed. And Giriraj Maharaj was massaging Prabhupada's lotus feet. And I came in, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there also, but he was in the servants' room, which is right next door, which is now the entrance into Prabhupada's room in Vrindavan. And so I came in, and it was dark, I couldn't see, and then when my eyes adjusted to the light and I saw Prabhupada's form, I was devastated. You can't imagine what that was like. Completely devastated. And then I was just trying to digest what I was seeing. I was trying to understand how to respond, you know. And just a few minutes when I got in, then Tamal Krishna Maharaj called from the servants' quarters, Bhakti Chur Maharaj, Bhakti Chur, and then he left because it was something about the medicine or something. And then it was just me and Giriraj Maharaj, and he was massaging Prabhupada's lotus feet. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, Giriraj, and he looked at me, and he went like this, like that, and I thought somebody else came into the room. He said, so I went over and he said, you have to massage Prabhupada's feet while I go. And I was allowed by Prabhupada. I'd been praying the whole way there, 30 hours, 35 hours. I was praying, please, Prabhupada, I've never had any personal service. Please, give me some personal service. And when I got into the room, I understood that wasn't going to be possible. Because at that point, only just very few devotees could do personal service to Prabhupada. It was so delicate. And then, by the grace of Prabhupada and Giriraj Maharaj, I was able to massage Prabhupada's lotus feet for about quite a few minutes. And then afterwards, I just all over my body. And I think that's why I'm sitting here now. No other reason. No other reason. Not possible for me any other way. So I have when I hear this verse, when I hear those two verses, one from here and one from, I think it's Shabdev Panch, I think of that and I become greatly relieved, to say the least. Hare Krishna. So we have a duty to pass on that fortune. Because when we sit down like this together and hear from Prabhupada direct, whether we're perfect at it or not, we get this very special mercy and special qualification. And if we take it right, then it's our duty to try to give this to others. According to our capacity, we can't be like Prabhupada, we can't imitate Prabhupada or great souls, but whatever our capacity is, we have to try to give others this mercy. We can do it by giving the books to Prabhupada's books to others. That's the best way, most efficient way. Okay, with your permission, I will move on. Hare Krishna. Anybody else in cyberspace? Okay. Shri Prahlada Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. See you tomorrow night, same place, same time, same station. Tomorrow is the Nirjala Kadasi. Hare Krishna.